A woman I know, sharp, active, completely independent, slipped on a dry floor in her own kitchen. Not wet, not icy, dry linoleum. She'd walked across that floor 10,000 times. And that was the morning everything changed. She was walking the way most people her age walk after 65, smaller steps, wider base, eyes down, the cautious gait that feels safe. It isn't. Every one of those adjustments is actually working against you, and there are 6 specific things you can change, starting on your next walk, that will dramatically lower your fall risk. Most of them are the opposite of what instinct tells you to do. Here's what we're covering: how your foot lands, where your eyes go, what your arms are doing, how long your steps actually need to be, the one daily movement that trains your balance faster than anything else, and how your walking speed predicts something most people don't realize it predicts. Let's start with the one that surprises people most. Trick number 1, lead with your heel. Most people assume they already do this. They don't, not anymore. Watch someone over 70 walk and you'll often see a flat-footed contact or even a slight toe-first landing. The heel barely gets there first, if at all. It looks like a shuffle, even when it doesn't feel like one. And this matters enormously. When you land heel first, your leg is slightly extended in front of you, acting like a brake. It gives you a split second to absorb the impact and redirect your momentum. When you land flat or toe first, you've lost that window entirely. Your center of mass is already moving over an unstable base, and any variation in the surface, a slight unevenness, a change in texture, a rug edge, has nothing to catch it. The reason this shifts with age is specific. The calf muscles weaken, and it's the calves that generate the push-off force to get the foot up and forward with enough clearance to land properly. As that force decreases, the foot starts arriving at the ground too early, too flat, at too low a clearance. You're not shuffling because you're being careless. You're shuffling because a very specific muscle group has quietly lost its strength and nobody told you that's what was happening to your gait. On your next walk, think about the heel making contact first, a deliberate, conscious tap of the heel before the rest of the foot comes down. It will feel slightly exaggerated at first. That's correct. You're retraining a pattern that has drifted over years, and overcorrecting slightly is how you get it back to where it should naturally be. After a few weeks, it stops feeling deliberate. It becomes automatic again. Trick number 2, eyes up, not on the ground. When you're nervous about falling, the eyes go down. You want to see what you're walking on. You want to spot hazards before your foot does. It makes complete sense as an instinct. But your balance system doesn't work that way. Your body uses 3 inputs to stay upright: what your inner ear is sensing, what the pressure receptors in your feet are detecting, and what your eyes are taking in. When all 3 are working together, the system is robust. It can handle small perturbations, correct mid-step, adapt to the unexpected. When you fix your gaze on the ground 2 feet in front of you, you cut off the visual horizon that the balance system uses to detect lean and drift. You're essentially flying the plane by looking at the cockpit floor. Looking ahead, at a fixed point roughly 15 to 20 feet in front of you, gives the balance system the horizon reference it needs. It sounds too simple to matter. It isn't. It's one of the most immediately correctable gait errors in this age group, and it works the first time you try it. The secondary benefit: when your gaze is forward, your head stays upright. An upright head means your neck and upper back are in a better mechanical position. That chain of alignment carries all the way down. Posture improves, stride opens up slightly, center of mass stays better centered over your base of support. Every part of the system talks to every other part. And practically speaking, you'll still see hazards. Your peripheral vision doesn't switch off when you look forward. Your brain is extremely good at detecting movement and changes in surface texture in the lower visual field, even when you're not staring at it. You've just forgotten that because you stopped trusting it. Trust it again. Trick number 3, let your arms swing. Actually swing. Walk behind most older adults and you'll notice the arms have gone quiet. They hang, they barely move. Sometimes they're tucked slightly in, held close to the body, like a kind of low-level bracing position. It looks subtle. The effect is not subtle. Your arms are not passengers, they're counterweights. Every time your right leg swings forward, your left arm is supposed to swing forward with it. Not because someone taught you to walk that way, but because that opposing movement is what keeps your upper body from rotating with every step. Without it, your torso has to work significantly harder to stay centered, the hips compensate, and the whole system becomes less stable with every stride. There's also the momentum piece. A proper arm swing contributes to forward propulsion. It actually reduces the energy cost of walking and helps maintain a consistent, rhythmic cadence. When the arms stop moving, the natural rhythm of the stride tends to break down too. Steps get shorter, pace becomes irregular, And irregular pace is one of the clearest predictors of fall risk that researchers have found when they track gait over time. On your next walk, let the arm swing freely from the shoulder, not the elbow. The movement should feel loose, relaxed, almost lazy, not pumped or forced. If you have to think about it at first, that's fine. The goal is to stop gripping, stop bracing, and let the arms do the job they were built to do. One thing to notice, if swinging freely feels uncomfortable, or if one arm barely moves while the other one does, that's worth paying attention to. Asymmetrical arm swing can be an early signal of something worth discussing with a doctor. Not to alarm you, but because the body leaves clues, and this is one of the clearer ones. Trick number 4, take longer steps than you think you need to. This is the core of the whole problem, and the hardest to convince people of, because it feels completely backwards. When older adults shorten their steps, it feels like a safety measure. Less reach means less risk of overextending, less chance of catching a foot on something. The logic seems sound. The biomechanics disagree completely. A short step means your foot is landing almost directly beneath your center of mass. There's no lead, no braking phase, no time for the body to absorb and redirect. You're stacking all your weight over a very small, precarious base with each step. Any disturbance, a slight surface irregularity, a moment of inattention, a gust of wind, and there's nothing in the stride to compensate. A longer step puts your foot out in front of where your weight is traveling. It creates a moment of controlled deceleration at each landing, a window the body can use to adjust. This is why younger people can trip and catch themselves. Their stride has enough length to allow a recovery step. Very short steps leave no room for recovery, there's no margin. The practical cue, on your next walk, try to feel your heel making contact when your leg is slightly more extended than feels natural. Not dramatically, just a little more reach than your current default. Combined with trick 1, the heel strike landing, you're giving yourself the mechanical buffer that short shuffling steps have gradually eliminated. And this is the moment I want to stop and say something directly, because we're now at the part of this conversation that matters most. Fear of falling is real. It's not irrational. 1 in 4 people over 65 falls every year. Falling once doubles your chance of falling again. Nearly 320,000 older adults are hospitalized for hip fractures every year in the United States. And of those, between 15% and 30% won't be alive a year later. Those numbers are not meant to frighten you. They're meant to explain something. Because what I see happen, and what the research consistently shows, is that fear of falling leads people to move less, to go out less, to stop doing the things that keep them strong and balanced and connected. And the cruel irony is that moving less is one of the fastest ways to accelerate exactly the physical decline that makes falling more likely. I've seen it in people I've worked with. Someone who used to take long walks with their spouse every evening. Someone who used to travel, who used to spend full days out with their grandchildren, who used to feel completely at home in their own body. And then one fall, or even just one close call, and the radius of their world quietly starts to shrink. First it's the uneven sidewalks, then it's anywhere unfamiliar, then it's just staying closer to home, closer to the furniture, closer to the wall. That's not safety, that's a different kind of loss. Slower, quieter, but just as real. The 6 things in this video exist precisely because movement done right is protective. Every one of these techniques gives your body more margin, more response time, more mechanical resilience. You're not eliminating risk by moving more carefully, you're building the capacity to handle the unexpected when it comes. Trick number 5, practice standing on one foot every single day. Not about how you walk, about what you're training when you're not walking. And it is, by a significant margin, the single most efficient balance exercise a person over 60 can do. Every time you take a step, there is a moment, brief, maybe a fifth of a second, when your entire body weight is on one foot. That's not a stability position, that's a controlled fall that your body catches. What determines whether you catch it smoothly or whether it turns into a stumble is the strength, response time, and coordination of the muscles along the hip, the ankle, and the core on that standing side. Single leg standing trains exactly that system, in exactly that position, with no equipment and no gym required. 30 seconds each side, that's it. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth, while you're waiting for the kettle, while you're standing at the kitchen counter. The goal is not to be perfectly still. Wobbling is the training. The small corrections your body makes while you're trying to balance are the whole point. That wobble is your reflexes getting faster and more precise. Start with one hand lightly touching a counter if you need to. As it gets easier, lift the fingertips. Then no contact at all. Then eyes closed. which immediately makes it 3 to 4 times harder and engages the inner ear balance system much more aggressively. That's the progression. Each stage takes however long it takes. What the research shows is striking. Rhythmic balance training, the category that includes single leg standing, Tai Chi, dance, reduces fall risk by 24% across healthy older adults and even more in high-risk populations. A randomized controlled trial of 256 adults aged 70 to 92 found that Tai Chi practice 3 times per week for 6 months cut the risk of multiple falls by 55% compared to stretching alone. Not 10%, not 15%, 55%. The mechanism behind all of it is the same one you're training when you stand on one foot in your kitchen. Your wiring faster catches into the system that prevents the stumble from becoming the fall. Trick number 6, walk faster than feels comfortable. This will seem like the most reckless advice in the video. It isn't. Gait speed at age 75 predicts 10-year survival as powerfully as your total number of chronic medical conditions and hospitalizations combined. The way you walk is not just a reflection of your health, it is a measurable signal of it. But the direction of that relationship matters. Faster walkers don't live longer because walking faster is magic. They live longer because the physical capacity to walk faster, the leg strength, the balance, the cardiovascular fitness, the coordination, is what's keeping them alive. Slow walking, particularly the shuffle and creep of someone who's been scared into moving carefully, is often the body adapting downward. It's a contraction. Walking with a deliberate, slightly more than comfortable pace forces the whole system to engage. Stride opens up, which connects back to trick 4. Arms swing more naturally, trick 3. The balance system gets a real-time challenge instead of a managed one. And over weeks and months, that challenge is what keeps the capacity from declining. This doesn't mean walking recklessly fast, or pushing through pain, or ignoring your body. It means not letting fear talk you into moving so cautiously that your body loses the ability to move any other way. There's a pace that's genuinely appropriate for your fitness and your terrain, and it is almost certainly faster than what anxiety has you walking at right now. On your next walk, find a stretch of flat, clear path and add 10% to your pace for 60 seconds. Notice whether your stride lengthens, whether your arms engage, whether your posture shifts. It probably will. That's the system responding the way it was built to respond when it gets an actual signal. Let me bring all 6 of these together, not as a list, but as a picture of what walking actually looks like when it's working the way it should. Head up, eyes forward, 15 to 20 feet ahead. Shoulders relaxed, arms swinging freely from the shoulder, alternating with the opposite leg. Heel makes contact first, foot landing slightly in front of the center of mass. Step length feels slightly generous. Not a reach, just a stride. Pace is deliberate, not rushed, but not apologetic either. That's it, that's the whole thing. Each of the 6 tricks is just one part of that picture. They don't operate in isolation. Longer steps naturally encourage heel-first landing. Eyes forward naturally improves posture, which opens the stride. Arms swinging freely stabilizes the torso, which makes each step more efficient. Walking faster engages all of it simultaneously. The single leg practice at home builds the reflexive capacity that makes all of it more robust when the ground isn't cooperative. They reinforce each other. Change one, and the others tend to follow. I want to come back to the woman I mentioned at the start. She recovered. It took months, and there were hard days in those months, and her world did get smaller for a while. But she came back to it, differently maybe, more deliberately, more aware of how she moved through space. But she came back. What she told me later was that nobody had ever explained to her that the way she was walking had shifted. She'd assumed that moving carefully was the smart thing to do. She'd been compensating for years without knowing what she was compensating for, and the compensation itself had made her less stable, not more. That's what I want you to take from this. The body is not fragile. It is adaptive, almost stubbornly so. Give it the right signals consistently, and it responds. Heel strike, eyes up, arms loose, longer steps, 1 foot, a little faster. Your next walk is the first opportunity. If this gave you something useful, subscribe. There's more coming on exactly this kind of thing. Practical, specific, grounded in what the research actually shows. And if you've been working on any of these habits already, drop a comment. I'm genuinely curious what's made the biggest difference. See you on the next one.